Good evening, friends, and welcome to Ghastly Manor. I've been expecting you. I know you are here seeking to enter the vault and to explore the gruesome collection of stories contained within. But beware, my friends, these stories are of a most disturbing nature. Now come in from the storm before you catch your death, and follow me to the vault. If you would please walk this way. I have lived in my house that I'm currently still living in for 25 years. My father lived here for a long time growing up as well. My parents bought the house from my grandfather when I was around 2. When I took a class on child psychology, the professor told us that there's a theory that believes babies can see ghosts and whatnot because they use 100% of their brain. Some people retain it, mediums or people who have paranormal experiences, and some people's brain throws it away as they get older, and the brain saves more important things. I believe this theory to be true, but I also believe that me and my brother inherited whatever it is we have from my father. When my father lived here, he said he would have dreams that ghosts were dragging him around the house, and when he would wake up he wouldn't be in his bed. Once, he woke up locked in the pantry and couldn't get out until my grandfather woke up and let him out. Other times, he would have dreams that the ghost would take him to the windowsill and constantly tell him to jump. My grandfather found him a few times on the windowsill, about to jump out the open windows. He eventually nailed the windows shut. They were still nailed shut when we bought the house, and they stayed that way for a while because I remember them. My brother and I would have night terrors. Now, I know that this can be written off as non-paranormal, but seeing one in action, that is exactly what it looks like. My mother said she would run after us trying to catch us, and when she finally would, we would stare behind her and scream. When my brother was maybe 2 or so, she said that she would feel him standing at her bed as she slept, so she would ask him what's wrong while turning over, and there would be nothing there. She said it constantly happened, and that there are so many noises going on upstairs, where I live now, that she would have my dad go through the house almost every night with a shotgun, thinking someone broke in. He never found anything. When I was little, I used to think that the basement was the creepiest place, still kind of do. It is just dark and cold down there all the time. I would hear my name being whispered down there, and so would my brother. One time, he showed how nervous he was about it in a video he made. He was recording himself playing the drums down there. He kept hearing his name behind him. In the video, he is constantly slowing down and slowly turning his head around to see if anything is behind him. My mother, who swears she doesn't believe in any of this, is constantly yelling, "What do you want?" down there, because she thinks she hears us calling her when we aren't. She said she hears "Ma" almost every time she goes down there. I know of one occurrence that scared the life out of her and almost made her a believer. She was down there changing her clothes and had her shirt over her face. She said once it was over her face, she thought she felt my father breathing on her face, like he had his face an inch from hers. She thought he was going to try to scare her when she pulled the shirt over, so she decided to try to scare him instead by yelling "boo" before he could. She pulled the shirt over her head while saying "boo" and smiling. No one was there. We had a dog when I was still living on the first floor, and she would creep us out. I didn't have a door in my bedroom, I had a curtain. Several times I have seen her slowly backing out of my room, curtain sliding off her, with her hair raised, and she would growl. I always wonder what she saw in there. My father used to go out of town for work a lot, and usually me, my brother, and sister would sleep in my mom's room with her. She didn't feel comfortable being home alone with us. She was afraid someone would break in or something. Everyone was asleep. I was still awake staring at the ceiling, willing myself to go to sleep as usual, when a blaring noise started in the house. My mom bolted up and woke up my brother and sister. We couldn't figure out what the noise was, but it was very loud and sounded like a man speaking. She told us to stay there, though I followed and my brother and sister followed after. We go through the kitchen and look down to the right. Around the corner of the wall is the stairs to the basement and a bathroom door, and see my dog backing away from the basement stairs with her hair up and growling very loudly. My mom starts freaking out, thinking someone is down there, but it is very dark down the stairs and we can see nothing. The noise is still blaring and is coming from the bathroom, which is right at the top of the basement stairs. She decides to go in and quickly turn on the light. She does, and we realize it's the radio we keep in the bathroom. It had turned on, still don't know how, and was at full volume. She turned it off and the house was eerily quiet. No one had done it, and as far as we knew, no one else was in the house. In my opinion, the upstairs apartment is so much worse than all of this. My aunt used to play with a Ouija board up there maybe once a week or so. My boyfriend is very religious and believes this is part of the reason why there is so much activity in our house. Before it was remodeled, the upstairs looked rather creepy. It was always freezing up there and the floors were dark and scuffed. Everything was old and original in the house. My friends decided to play with a Ouija board and I went along just to watch. None of the power worked up there, as my dad had shut off the breaker because they were just beginning to remodel. Most of the kitchen was covered with clear plastic. They started, and the responses were that there were spirits there, and there was 3 of them, and that they were small. My friend had just asked, "Are you good or bad?" when I looked towards the kitchen. The response he got was bad. And I swear I saw the shape of 3 children in the kitchen. It was the first time I really saw something, and I remember it very well. The tallest in the middle, shorter one on the left of him, and shortest on the right. I couldn't make out features because it was so dark, but it was like someone took 3 children and threw black paint on them. I could vaguely make out clothing. One looked like he was wearing a white shirt that had been washed with black ink. I freaked and ran down the stairs and everybody followed. After remodeling, my brother and I moved up there. Basic layout. You walk up the stairs, open the door, and you're standing in the front room. Go to the left and you'll go through the dining room and through to the kitchen. There is one room on the left side of the front room, a bathroom, and a long, creepy closet on the left side of the dining room. Go up 2 little steps into the kitchen, and my bedroom is on the left at the top of those 2 stairs. I share a wall with the closet. Go through the kitchen, and there's a set of French doors that open to my brother's room. Basically, my brother could see my bedroom door from his glass French doors. Relevant later. I remember constantly hearing footsteps up there. Since I have lived here for so long, now I can say, oh, that sounds like the spot that creaks in the entryway between the front room and the dining room, and not even flinch. But at that time, I couldn't pinpoint these noises, and they freaked me out. The footsteps would come through the dining room, up the 2 steps into the kitchen, and either stop at my door or go to my brother's room. There are times when I heard them go into my brother's room, that I would go over there to tell my brother something and his room was completely empty. I would leave the dining room light on all night. If I had to go to the bathroom at night and the light was off, I constantly felt something chasing me in the dark. I would constantly see shadows out of the corner of my eye, but you know how that goes. One time, I was looking for this pill bottle that I filled with all my extra earrings, lip rings, etc. I remembered leaving it on the table by my bed. I looked everywhere for it. I even went to the first floor looking around, but I couldn't find it. I came back upstairs and went into my room, giving up. When I walked in, there it was, sitting on the table next to my bed. I knew it wasn't there when I left, and I didn't know what to feel about it. So I just grabbed the bottle and said, "Stay out of my room," and left. In high school, it was very bad. I was depressed as I had a lot going on, and the activity was making it worse. I started leaving a mattress on the first floor and sleeping on the floor of the front room down there. My brother told me that on those nights, he knew I wasn't up there because the dining room light was off, and he would see my door to my room open, then slam shut. I started doing everything on the first floor because I didn't want to be upstairs by myself for too long. I went to my room to grab a towel and clothes so that I could take a shower on the first floor, and I walked out. I passed the closet. As I was passing it, I looked at the door, praying nothing jumped out to get me, when I heard a gruff, raspy voice say, "Get in!" I almost shit my pants and booked it through the house and down the stairs. As I was going down the stairs, I smiled and thought, I bet that was my stupid brother. I opened the door to the first floor, and he was on the couch with my mom. My grandmother passed away shortly after I finished high school, and I was having a hard time. I was in my room listening to music, and I was sitting on the floor staring at my CD player. I was annoyed because the CD kept pausing, the disc kept ejecting, the volume kept changing, and I was pissed off. So I kept yelling, "Stop it!" and "Get out of my room!" I shut my CD player off and stood up when my bedroom door started loudly banging. It was as if someone was trying to kick it down. I jumped back and was freaking out. Whatever was doing this was hitting my door so hard that the lanyards and necklaces I kept on the doorknob on my side were bouncing up and slamming back into the door. I called my mom while this was going on, and she wouldn't come upstairs. I was screaming, "Please, it won't stop and I'm scared." It stopped after a few seconds, and I was still on the phone with my mom. She said she would meet me in the hallway. I grabbed my blanket and with all the courage I could muster, unlocked the door and swung it open. Part of me was hoping my brother was there, but I knew nothing was there. Just a pitch-black kitchen. The dining room light was off. I ran downstairs and didn't go back up for a while. About 2 years ago, before my brother moved out, he said that he was lying in his room with his face to the wall because he had a headache. He heard footsteps coming his way and figured it was me. They came through the kitchen and straight into his room and stopped right at his back. He waited a few seconds and didn't hear me say anything. After what seemed like forever, he looked behind him, and nothing was there. I eventually moved my son to this room, and he refused to sleep in it. He was about 1 and didn't speak yet, but I really wanted him in there because it was so close to my room. I would have to put him to sleep in my room and carry him to his crib. He always woke up at 1:15 a.m. and cried until I took him out of there. I eventually moved him back, but hear noises in that room when I'm the only one up at night. When I was pregnant, there was definitely a spike in these problems. It was all fine and quiet for a while, and then out of nowhere, when my boyfriend was working, I could feel breath on my face, and once I even heard a voice in my ear yell, "Wake up!" I could feel the hot breath on my face, but still nothing was ever there. When my son was born, I would keep him in my room, but when he was close to 1, I put him in the bedroom in the front room. Everything was fine for a while, but I refused to have a regular baby monitor. I wanted to see him, afraid of anything bothering him. One morning, his father was off to work and we were sleeping. My son woke up whining a bit at 7. I lifted my head to look at the camera and told my boyfriend to leave him be and he'll lay back down in a minute and go back to bed. I put my head back down, facing away from the camera, and hear a loud male voice over the camera say, "Lay down." My head shot up and I looked at the camera. My son was slowly starting to lie down. Then I heard, "Shh." My son closed his eyes. I ran over there, but nothing. This happened a second time, but it was a female voice. I thought my sister was in his doorway talking to him. I couldn't make out what the lady was saying, but my son was replying. I heard him say no. Pause to listen, talk in baby talk, pause again, say no. It was like the lady was asking him questions. I went over there and he's just staring at me like nothing happened. He has had one night terror and probably terrified me more than him. I had watched the movie Mama with my dad. I know these movies are corny, but ghost stories are the only movies that terrify me, and I wanted to see it. So later on, I'm in my room watching TV. It's around 3 a.m. My son starts screaming his head off. I look at the camera, and he's standing there just screaming like I've never heard before. I run in there, and he's running back and forth in his crib, trying to find somewhere to go. He's looking all over the place, grabbing onto the back of the crib, moving to the other side, doing the same, like there's a door or something he needs to get out and run away. I rush over to him and try to catch him, and find it surprisingly hard. He's staying towards the back of the crib, but now he's facing me and screaming still. I finally grab him and shake him lightly and say, "It's okay, wake up." He looks in the corner behind me, eyes wide and pale. He starts screaming again. This is the first time that I understood what it meant when people say the blood drained from their face or their blood ran cold. This happened to me. I could now feel something behind me. I turned around real fast, saw nothing, grabbed my son and ran to my room. This hasn't happened since. I could feel almost a sense of dread in that room. If I'm in there for too long, I feel a sense of, "You don't belong here, get out." I had a friend over once, and we were playing with my son in his room, and after a while she looked uncomfortable and said, "Can we go outside for a little?" I said sure, and out we went. When we got out there, she said she felt extremely uncomfortable in that room, and felt like she shouldn't be there. Welcome to the club. Lately, things have been okay. There are still a few times a month when I feel like something is watching me up there, usually when I'm the only one up there, or the only one awake. Actually, when I was typing the beginning of this post, I heard footsteps up there, knowing that no one's up there. It doesn't really scare me so much anymore, but it does get on my nerves. I just don't want anything to bother my son. For right now, it's mostly just footsteps. I just hope it doesn't get bad again. Thank you for reading, and if there's anything else I remember, I'll put it in. Edit. I forgot to mention one more experience, and I'll leave it here so previous readers can see it if they want to. When I was maybe 10 or so, my father went to the bathroom, and I decided to hide under the dining room table so I could scare him when he finished. I was sitting under the table, and my shirt had rolled up in the back. Something touched my back. It felt almost like a spider web or hair, or someone very softly running their fingertips down my back. It was so cold that it burned. I jumped up from under the table and was very upset. I just said, "Please don't ever touch me again." It hasn't happened since. What's up, guys? Ghastly Ghoul here, and thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I've been a fan of the horror narrators here on YouTube for about a year now. They're all awesome guys and gals and have been great inspirations for me to start my own channel. Please check out my list of subscriptions under my channels tab so you can go visit their channels. They are all outstanding. If you liked the video, please click the thumbs up button, comment, and share. I would really appreciate that. Also, I would love to assemble a ghastly gang of subscribers. Please consider joining the gang by hitting that subscribe button. Also, I would be honored to narrate your personal true scary stories. You can email them to me at the address listed below. If you would please put a short description in the subject line and include a statement that you give me permission to narrate your story, that would be great. Also, please follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, so you can keep up to date on what's happening with the channel. The links are below. And now, we must part ways, my friends. You are safe for the time being, but I feel you are living on borrowed time, for you never know what ghastly horrors await you in the vault.